Deion Sanders might have just killed the in-home visit. And he's right to have killed the in-home visit for him and for coaches like him. Now, while I don't agree that parents don't want him in their homes, he would say he didn't want Bobby Bowden, when he was being recruited to Florida State, to show up at his house because rats and roaches might have been out early in the morning, and he didn't want to show all that out. And he didn't want to put his mama on Front Street like that. Probably has a lot of parents that are like that when he goes to visit, let's say, ostensibly to visit high school football recruits, to which I think I speak for many of us when I say we would all like Coach Prime to come up to our house and have his way in. And if we thought it was in some sort of disarray, well, hell, we're going to call the pest control. We're going to put the quick shine down on the hardwood. We're going to hit the Lysol and the bleach with anything that looks suspicious, and we're going to make it do what it do, right? The in-home visit is about tradition. It's also about a time when we didn't get to see college football as much as we did today, right? It's about not knowing who these recruits are and them not knowing the coaches. It's about showing up there, having dinner with a family, and trying to figure out who the hell it is that you offered and whether or not they can do the job. Now, that said, I also know that there are some coaches out there who feel some kind of way about Deion Sanders saying, I'm not doing no in-home visits. Y'all got to come to me. And he wants to show off the university. Now, that's the way to spin it, right? The way to spin it is to say we have this magnificent university in Boulder. Come experience it with us. It's my home, and I think you would like to see how my house is kept rather than how your house is kept, because this is where they're going to spend the bulk of their time, them being your sons. I also think that the juice ain't worth the squeeze for a guy like Prime, because I mentioned this last week in the show, but there is no other football coach in FBS who gets late night and CBS mornings in the same week randomly in March because he got a book coming out. But Prime did. He showed up on Jimmy Fallon. He showed up getting interviewed by Nate Burleson. He went on the Today Show to talk about being a granddaddy. Okay? Kirby Smart hasn't done that. Lincoln Riley hasn't done that. Ryan Day hasn't done that. Prime has done that. There are lots of coaches who don't rate with Lincoln Riley, Ryan Day, Dan Lanning, Kirby Smart, who have feelings about this, to which I'm going, hey, dog, welcome to the United States of America, where we value talent and we value acclaim, and we will treat you differently if you have demonstrated yourself to be a cut above. And that is what Prime has done. I also think that when you're looking at his roster, he's been very clear about this since he got into the sport. He wants 40% graduate transfers, 40% transfers, and 20% from high school, which is another way of saying he ain't really going on no in-home visits for high school recruits, and he ain't got time to go on no in-home visits for transfers. You want to come here. You want to play here. They will have their camps for transfers in May. Those guys will show up in Boulder to work out. Whether or not they get offered, we'll see. I think there's also, Kirby Smart will do in-home visits. Ryan Day will do in-home visits, but that's because that's how they know how to do this. This breaking the mold with what we come to know of as tradition has been Prime's get down from the jump. He built a roster mostly out of transfers in 2023. Now, did it work? Not really. They went 4-8, but it's also year one, right? I'm thinking about this from the standpoint of you get to have such turnover on your roster that year to year, the only thing that has to be constant is you. And Prime has, if nothing else, been constant. As we have been rotating around college football and what it's going to be and how it's going to go, and we have moved the transfer window back. We have changed the transfer window. We have moved early signing period to be ahead of the transfer window. We have expanded the college football playoff. We're going to have to change the way that we look at non-conference games. Prime has said, nah, I'm going to do what I do. Y'all do what y'all do. And I think he's right to feel some kind of way about people taking shots at him for minding his own, right? He's not out here telling you how to do your business. Why do you care how he does his? And I think that has more to do with how individuals feel about Coach Prime as opposed to what that program has come to represent. For instance, and I'm going to say this again because I still can't believe that this was true, but it is, we got a vice chancellor of admissions at Colorado that did not seem to think that Deion Sanders had anything to do with their record number of applicants to the University of Colorado following his hire. That's where we're at right now. And if I got to keep explaining that to folks that don't get it, we're not going to get very far. Or at least I'm going to keep going. You're going to keep going. And we're going to have to leave those folks behind because they don't understand what it means in college football to have a guy like Prime who can break through in this monolithic culture. Now, that said, if Kirby Smart decided he's no longer doing in-home visits, if Brent Venables decided he's no longer doing in-home visits, Ryan Day, Dan Lanning, Lincoln Riley, I don't think we would lose anything. And I don't think that the players and recruits would lose anything either, nor the parents, because you come out on your visits anyway. And now that we have basically made law, you can pay a recruit to come to your university just to camp out for a while and not actually have to sign a national letter of intent or a financial aid agreement as part of getting this money. Why the hell would they want you to come to their house in the first place? No. We'll take your money and go there on an all expenses paid trip to wherever, right? Whether it be Columbus or Boulder or Norman. I think this is going to become the way that we do business. And I think because Prime was brave enough to say this is how he does business, a lot of people are taking shots at them while others are taking notes. And you should take notes too, because I think this is going to continue to be a big deal, right? I think that it is important to also note that it's not just coaches and players that have to come to Prime or recruits that have to come to Prime or families that have to come to Prime. You know who else had to come to Prime? ESPN. You know who else had to come to Prime? Fox. We all have to go to Boulder if we want some of him. And he has recognized that and leveraged that into more opportunities for his players and his staff. Goodness me, man. What are we arguing about here? If you like what you've seen, consider subscribing to the #1 college football show on YouTube, the Fox Sports app, or wherever you get your podcast.